What's up guys, it's Project and today we gonna talk Monster Hunter World. If you don't know or are not aware, Monster Hunter is returning in a big way to all high graphical systems, that is PS4, Xbox One, and eventually PC, with a global release date for those consoles in early 2018. Global is rather significant considering Monster Hunter usually releases in Japan first, then months to a year or more later in the West. It's been years since the franchise has been on these systems, especially for the West, so this is a very exciting moment in Mon Hun history. Mon Hun is usually what Monster Hunter is shortened to for easy referencing, and this new game could be a turning point in the franchise's popularity in the West with your help. In today's video, I'll try to cover a lot of the juicy info we know, going more in depth with the footage we saw, and talking about the bold move in general. If you're not familiar with Monster Hunter, it is an action RPG where you take quests and go hunt big bosses or monsters and use their parts to create or strengthen your own gear to take on harder challenges. This gets wilder and funner when you have the aid of other players to hunt together with for some jolly cooperation. That description, the core of Monster Hunter, should hold true for this new game, Monster Hunter World. There's quite a few potential changes from face value that differentiates this from normal Mon Hun games, and mostly for good reason. I made a huge rant typed out against people complaining about the reveal or the fact that it's not Monster Hunter 5 or a true Monster Hunter, but decided against it since it would be too long and detract from the purpose of the video, which is jam-packed with info that nullifies those complaints anyway. The game is not dumbed down when it clearly has some depth to the mechanics shown. And from the devs themselves, they said the core gameplay is still very much in, and they only showed one trailer and some extended footage of that trailer, primarily showing off the new, not the old stuff. And just because it isn't more of the same stuff you've been playing for a decade already, doesn't mean it can't be fun and enjoyable. And being negative for the sake of being salty or fanboyism does nothing to aid the game's success, nor to the franchise itself, as this is clearly a huge move by Capcom. No matter if you call this a spin-off, it isn't. Capcom has confirmed this is the main game in a series they're putting all the guns towards, with the main team working on this, that is the Monster Hunter 4 team. This is the next flagship, this is the new core. While different, you can be sure they're putting a lot of effort to make sure this succeeds. The devs have already squashed a lot of complainers' fears from interviews and backstage demos and stuff. The core combat still remains. And with that out of the way, I'll be covering what we know so far of the game and going in depth on some stuff and explaining things for new players along the way. I might not get every detail released since each day we're getting new stuff and it's hard to shuffle through all the info, but I'll try to cover the more interesting notes that I've heard of. First of all, I welcome all new hunters, regardless of whatever negative things will happen. I'm sure a lot of awesome stuff is in store for us too, and I hope people get the game and enjoy and fall in love with this franchise as I have and many others. This is a great and unique opportunity for that to happen, so don't let the idiots dissuade you. The game is fairly ways away, so there may be things being revealed that could be super awesome that will interest you further, as well as changes that may change the negative people's minds on the game. Capcom is doing this for a reason. They'll make sure to put the best game out since they have to. They're not in a position to just throw out and try something. They have confidence in this, the main team's behind this. Let's have some confidence in them to make this the best Monster Hunter possible for what it is. First, covering the basics for what was put out from Capcom themselves, this is a semi-open world game with near or even zero load times between areas for seamless gameplay. In previous entries, maps were split into zones with a quick loading time between each. This can cause frustration since it's, well, loading times, but also you'd often get knocked out of a zone from a monster attacking you, meaning you'd have a load time, then another load time going back to the zone where the action's at. You'd also could cheat and run to a different zone safely to heal or do whatever, so being seamlessly interconnected means not only fluid gameplay, but more of a challenge. The devs have confirmed there's a main hub or a port, so you can expect a central hub to go for your foraging, buying items, and for, I'm assuming, the story of the game. So the open worldness of the game seems to be more like giant sandbox maps you drop in, maybe something akin to islands like Jurassic Park 3, Isla Sorna, that you can explore and hunt and do whatever to your heart's content or for missions. Going by the franchise's history, we can expect many diverse locales to visit. The graphics are great, a massive step up from the newest port of Monster Hunter Double Cross announced on Switch in Japan. They're targeting a locked 30 frames per second, bit of a bummer, but probably why the graphics are so orgasmic looking. PC will probably max everything. This game supports multiplayer of up to 4 players. There's a new multiplayer system where players now can queue up to hunt in real time, most likely. Someone playing solo in need of help can fire a flare into the sky, and that will automatically call in people queued up to join their game and defeat the monster or quest. This is what's called a drop-in multiplayer system, probably similar to the upcoming game Anthem that was also revealed at E3. In addition, for the first time ever in Monhun, there's cross-region play, meaning Japanese can play with the West and the West with the Japs. This is more favored for PS4 and maybe even PC owners, as Xbox is dead in Japan, so PS4 and PC players can expect a bigger player pool. PS4 most likely the biggest, since PC isn't coming out at the same time as the other two. I don't expect it to sell millions in Japan, but I think it could push over 100k in the first week on PS4 alone, and that's a pessimistic estimate. Now, for copyright purposes, I won't actually show the actual trailer in this video. I'll link in the description though all the trailers and footage that we've seen, but for now enjoy these screenshots, which are more high quality anyways. The trailer shows the player traversing through a lush jungle environment, again a major step up from previous games graphically and scale wise. There's some kind of location mechanic involving light bugs or something that hint or help you track monsters, such as footprints or territory marks and such. Considering the maps are much bigger than previous maps before, and you can traverse them however you want without load times, I think this is a necessary mechanic. This new feature isn't hand-holding or casualizing. I think this is a necessary addition to help you track a monster who runs away. In previous Monster Hunters, monsters traverse the map, sometimes out of habit, but a lot of times when they're wounded, where they would try to get away and rest, or if they're hungry. They move map zones to feed and stuff like that. Because there is no zones though, we're going to need some way to track them, and I think this is a great way to do it with cute little bug things floating your way. It's much more natural too, way more hunter-like than throwing a dumb paintball at a monster. There seems to be some swimming segments, but they confirmed that there is no underwater combat, so that's a relief. Moving on, Monster Hunter's worlds are alive, meaning there's cannon fodder usually roaming about, but there's attention to detail in the interactions and purpose of these animals. They're natural wild animals, and they feel and react that way because of the new hardware, because of better power. They're able to have better AI and interactions and stuff like that because of the new hardware. The maps aren't just big empty open spaces either. There's a lot of nooks and crannies and different pathways that you can traverse, lots of verticality and stuff like that. So they put a lot of effort into designing these maps to make sure these aren't just big open things. Everything is able to traverse. You're able to go anywhere. So very exciting stuff. Before getting into gameplay, we'll take a look at the monsters themselves. Monsters here meaning not the small peanut gallery, but the big daddies to tackle and fight with for the big bucks. The big star of the reveal was a new monster unique to this game, an Anjanath, or Anjin like Neo, a big T-Rex looking monster. Quite generic looking, but it's got some key features. Notice the fur on its back, the big crest on its head, and probably only when in rage, it sprouts short wings or fins on its back. Not sure what they're used for, probably for intimidation. If you don't know the rage mechanic, it's when monsters, after taking a certain amount of damage, or depending on the condition, become enraged, moving faster, hitting harder, and sometimes using new moves, as well as changing their appearance sometimes. So it looks like it's still in the game. Another thing to point out is the thing's lower jaw. Any fan of Monhun should recognize that type of face. This brings me hope that Big Daddy Devil Joe will make it in the game using a similar model. Before moving on to the next, they also confirmed damage or broken parts, so we can expect to break some parts like Anjanath's nose thing and probably other stuff as well. Another new and unique monster to the game is this weird yellow iguana thing shown briefly, known as a great Jarga, with the little iguanas known as Jargas, which is the bigger version of the little lizard creatures that you saw before. Wish we saw more of it, but it's seen here engulfing an Aptonoth. Very cool looking in my opinion. Leaves hope for more vibrant and unique looking things will be in the game. A thing to note here is its throat. Seems to be able to expand quite significantly. Reminds me of bloated Zamtrio, so it may have similar moves of trying to crush you. And the last monster we saw was, of course, the flagship of flagships, Rathalos, the red fire wyvern. He comes in and wrecks Anjanath because he's just badass, and tries to carry a trophy away, but we'll make sure to knock his block off later for that. A thing to note here is that I noticed the look of the game is very classic Monster Hunter, like on the PS2. Very raw and primitive, using the jawbone greatsword here, and generally non-flashy clothes. But since Rathalos is in, that means everyone's favorite overused armor set is in as well, so we may still retain some colorfully edgy armors. Hopefully there's a lot more monsters. If we treat this like a reboot or a new entry for some, hell, if we treat this like a remake for the original Monster Hunter on PS2 in 2004, then we can expect near 20 unique monsters or so in full retail, which I say is a satisfying amount if there's no reskins. Nothing compared to the newer Monster Hunters, but that's expected given a lot of those monsters are just reused assets and to an audience who play those games nearly every entry over the many years. While not in-game, they've released screenshots and they have confirmed all 14 weapon classes are still in the game. The only one that's not in is Prowler from Monster Hunter Double Cross or Generations, which is a good thing I think. They want to return to the basics, the core of Monster Hunter, which is Monster Hunter 4, which is considered one of the best Monster Hunter games. In this screenshot, greatsword, bow, lance, and heavy bowgun can be seen here, while in this screenshot, hammer can be seen on the right. No news on a new weapon type, but considering it's mainly for a new audience, that might not matter, and as some people are so keen on playing the same old, well, there it is. But gameplay-wise, we've only seen greatsword and bowgun from the trailers very briefly. This is why I said people to hold off judging the game, as the demo or trailer was clearly to show off the traversing of the monster and the landscape to show off the open worldness, not the usual combat you're most likely going to get anyways, as we did see some standard old moves from the greatsword that we've used before. But the highlight of the gameplay was showing, quite literally, the hunting aspect, using various stuff to take down, more like annoyed, this John man, Anjanad. The defining feature is mounting. No longer is it some dumbed down button smash one animation thing like on the 3DS games when you mount them. You can now mount different parts or sections of the monster a la Dragon's Dogma with the help of some grappling hook feature. This is most likely a universal item that all hunters have by default, but this opens up the gameplay aspect a lot. It's not simplified, it's a lot more complex in this regard. Other things include a vine trap of sorts that ensnare the monster momentarily to land a few hits in or prepare other items. There's a cloak or ghillie which disguises your presence, allowing you to sneak up close or maybe even past monsters you don't want to fight. They confirmed that there's a timer to this ghillie suit, so you're not able to spam it infinitely, and there's also going to be different ones that give different effects, such as attracting monsters towards you rather than sneaking. There's various aerial attacks shown. As mentioned before, the crest on the Anjanath head can probably be broken, it looks like it, so perhaps mounting its face will be a goal if you wanted to get that part broken. And aside from those things, there wasn't much else to take from the trailers. I'm sure we'll see more in-depth gameplay as the days, weeks, and months go by, but I'm super excited about this game, guys. There's some things left to question, but I'll definitely cover all that I can on the game as things come out. I can't wait to hunt monsters on a Sony system once again. Will there be trophies to get? Yes, finally! And I really hope a lot of you guys give this game a chance. I'll do my best to try to convince you. No shield or sponsor. I just love getting new people to play and love the games I do. The more hunters, the better, I say. There's a couple of extended previews coming up, so I'll try to cover those. I like to see more gameplay and a full hunt sometime. I think that would be really cool. And I think that would convince hardcore fans on the fence, as well as show new players what the true gameplay is like of this series. One very important wish I hope they do is a closed beta or open beta. If you truly want this game to be great out of the gate, then betas can go a long way in getting the bad stuff out early and building upon the stuff that got positive feedback. Neo devs took in a lot of feedback to heart during their testing phases, and the final game came out great, core mechanically wise. So I really hope Capcom does the same and is vigorous with their interaction with the players to make this the best game possible. One final note to help ease the controversy over the denial of Japanese Monster Hunter Double Cross Switch port being localized for the West, what I'll say is wait. Simply wait. Don't get your panties in a bunch. What they said is usual PR statements like, we can't comment at this time, so we don't have any plans. That doesn't mean it won't ever happen. Monster Hunter on handhelds has always released in Japan first. The same is going to be for this situation. The Double Cross Switch port hasn't even released in Japan yet. You don't know how well it's going to do on the Switch. This is not the 3DS, it's the Nintendo Switch, with a fraction of the install base of the 3DS. I'm sure they're testing the waters in Japan first where it's safe, before pulling the trigger to localize it. So take a chill pill and wait it out. Both games aren't out for a while, plenty of time for possible info to come out and minds to change. So just chill and enjoy the rest of the amazing games releasing or announced this E3 in the meantime. But that's all from me. I'll make sure to update you guys on anything major that is put up. Supposedly they'll have a presentation on the 20th, so look forward to that. If you missed my E3 overviews, make sure to check those out. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment down below your thoughts on Monster Hunter World, and subscribe for more Mon Hunt epicness.